Right. So James, tell us a little bit about JMD Industries up in New Hampshire. Tell us all that you all do up there for your
Sure.
customers.
Of course. Yeah. So the company started in 1977 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And my parents ended up buying a second facility in Hudson, New Hampshire, and we're operating out of both locations for a few years and then consolidated all operations to Hudson, New Hampshire around 93, 94. The company early on, believe it or not, was really geared towards the restoration industry. So a lot of car parts, a lot of chrome plating, a lot of restoration of antiques. And I would say mid 80s, late 80s, they were approached by Digital Corporation, which was a Massachusetts based company, um, about potentially putting in zinc plating. And that really is how the company changed gears from the restoration work to more commercial type finishes. Took place over a number of years, but they really started to get away from that restoration antiquing work and adding more commercial type finishes like chromate and anodizing and things of that nature. Um, by the time we were in Hudson, New Hampshire, there were no more buffing and polishing, and it was all just zinc plating, chromating, anodizing, and so on. So I went to the University of New Hampshire. I graduated in 1997 and came down here shortly afterwards, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Um, the industry has a way of sucking you in, and I enjoyed what I did. And my parents gave me an opportunity really to crawl, walk, run, zero pressure on me early on. And I think the value in that is I have a strong technical background because I was up on plating lines. I was learning how to actually process. I worked in the lab for a period of time. Um, and then as the company grew, I started getting into production and quality and that nature. And then really started developing business plans for us. Since then, we have added two additional facilities in Hudson, New Hampshire. In 2015, we added ISO. A couple years later, AS 9100. A couple years later, we started going after our NADCAP accreditations. Um,
Hmm.
so we really have come a long way from the, you know,
Right.
chrome plating headers on cars and
Just
whatnot.
whoever walked in the door, right, got to
Right, exactly.
work for that. Yeah. So I
Exactly.
guess that puts you at about what coming up on 30 years for yourself, right? I mean, it's
Yes, correct. I've been here quite a while. So my mom is no longer with us, but my parents did bow out probably around 20, let's see, 2005, 2006, right around that time frame. They really backed off. At that time, we went through a significant expansion, and basically their philosophy was, if you're going to be this involved and we're going to be expanding, kind
mm,
of here are the keys to the operation. Um, and that's really when I started taking over and planning.
right, right. I was gonna say, yeah, 30 years officially, but I'm sure you were there
Oh yeah,
growing up, right? Like
I
all those
was. When I stayed home sick from school, I was hanging out at a plating shop.
right, right. Well, it's funny. Like I said, we'll talk about this. I know you in like since 2020 when you all NADCAP, a lot of things have been changing with you all. It's interesting because I'm sure from an early age you understood the process, what the business entailed, how it serviced customers, but uh, it's a challenge also to learn how to actually run the business so it's profitable and to grow it, right? I mean, that seems to be a big struggle for a lot of operations, especially family-owned operations, where they may not
Sure.
have this huge amount of capital to do things as a private firm, but private equity or anything. But that had to be something that you saw that really once you had the sounds like you had the technical aspect down uh, early to really put your business acumen and what the company needed to do to continue growing. I'm sure.
Correct. And those are all very valid points. Understanding technically what is going on in here is considerably different than understanding what a P&L means to a company.
Mm-hmm.
And we too, probably like most metal finishing companies, labor is our biggest cost. It's a difficult resource at times to get, but it is something that we are very mindful of and pay very close attention to. because it can make or break your month, your quarter, your year. And then there's the marketing of the company as well and the sales side of it. I prefer to be in the facility. I prefer to be boots on the ground. That has evolved significantly, and certainly I would be considered the face of the company, and now the face of Patriot Coating as well. So I no longer have that luxury of pulling a pallet jack around or any of the things that I truly enjoy. Uh, I am much more out there now, meeting with people and looking for opportunities and developing relationships and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we're a good sized company, but we all wear a lot of hats here, and there are some very, very talented people right underneath me. That has allowed me to, walk away or even entertain an acquisition like Patriot Coating. This is actually the fifth acquisition that we have been through, but the other four have all been brought in-house. So it was a closure of a facility, and we were just bringing their sales here. Those are, in my opinion, considerably more easy to integrate. This will be a little bit more demanding, more time consuming. Our facilities are about an hour away. So we're really concentrating on, 2 through 10 down there. Roy, the owner of Patriot Coating, is going to be retiring in 90 days. And, that company needs to function as if he was there. So those responsibilities are going to have to be dispersed. It's important for us to recognize what they don't have. And can those employees, pick up the slack, or are we adding to it and whatnot? So that's really where we are right now. It's a lot of just consuming before we actually come up with a plan that will make sense. So it will be interesting. It will be challenging at times, but he really does have a good crew underneath him. And, some of the things that I think we'll end up doing is more on the system side. We'll modernize what his operating system. Like, he can paint a part like nobody, no question about it. But we feel that the technology side isn't quite up to par. So that's probably where we're going to be doing a lot of emphasis early on. Try to create some efficiency. Literally count clicks on a computer. Is there a faster way to get there than we're currently doing type stuff? And, I've met with those employees down there that we would consider key. I asked them to start accumulating, bullet points that they think are low hanging fruit that we can go after. And, what's interesting is the few that I've gotten so far all kind of align. And it's what we're kind of good at JMD. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think within the next 90 days, we're going to be able to implement some stuff down there that will make them a little bit more high functioning than they currently are.
Right. Yeah. Let's, as I said, let's jump, because this is current. Just at the end of December, you announced that you were purchasing
Yes.
the Patriot Coating. What attracted you to that? Like I said, it's ironic because you're in Hudson. This is in Hudson, Massachusetts, and you say how far it's away? About an hour?
About an hour.
Yeah. What attracted you to that? How did that all come about for you?
So I wasn't looking. Roy talked to a couple of his customers over the summer and stated that he potentially was considering getting out and did not have a exit plan that really made anybody of his customers feel comfortable. And we share a couple of accounts. Those customers came to meet with us to explain the situation, to see if we were potentially interested in taking on the work that was going to Patriot. And one of them mentioned, would you be interested in at least looking at his facility as a potential acquisition? Of course, I said yes. I just figured it would be like any other one. We would shut the facility down and bring their work in-house. But I tell you, I wasn't 5 minutes into his building, and I realized that he had way, way more capacity than we do. in the finishes that he offers. And it would be irresponsible for me to think that, one, I could absorb the work with our facility,
Right.
or two, react fast enough. So sure, we could have added capacity, but it wasn't going to happen overnight. So Roy and I had a really good conversation. I tell you, within about 24, 48 hours, we had kind of mapped out what the acquisition would look like, including us keeping the name and keeping the facility and his employees. We handed it over to attorneys, and it took them 6 months to do what we did in 24 hours. So here we are. Truthfully, this should have been done this summer, the latest fall. But, you know, here we are 1-1 finally running operations down there. So, yeah, there was a lot. His employees are key. His facility is very, very nice. And he has significant capacity.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say the big thing is, like I said, it sounds to me like, your customers who kind of led this, but, he had the labor, which is essentially important,
Correct.
the trained labor to do this, right? I mean,
Correct.
it's very critical to get people that know what they're doing and how to do it. And that had to be the key to the deal, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I tell you, he has an amazing training program down there. He has 60 something employees, and they are all self-grown. I mean, that is organic, what's happening down there. He is not hiring from the outside. He is not hiring experienced people. And that's one of the things that we are going to be putting under a microscope, is how did he develop these 60 something skilled employees? Because he has some excellent painters down there, excellent powder coaters down there, excellent silk screeners. Like, he has very good employees. So we were really excited about that.
Yeah. I mean, so overall, because you did a lot of you were able to do some liquid and powder coating at your current facility, right? You were doing
Correct.
some of that, right?
Yeah, we have about a 15,000 square foot facility. We have multiple booths in powder and paint, multiple ovens, really nice masking room. Yeah, we have significant capacity here, but it's probably about 50% of what he has down there.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's gonna be great. Yeah. Well, let's go back for a second. Like I said, it's starting. I know, just reading a little bit about you. Well, in 2020, you went for the NADCAP, right, which is a huge process. And
Correct.
how did you all come about deciding to do that? That was like a 2 year, or the early 2019 or something that you started with.
Yeah,
that process?
it was probably a decision that we made around 18, and it took a couple of years to implement. Obviously, you have processes and procedures that need to be developed and employees that need to be trained. But we also decided at the time to renovate the chem film and anodized line that we're currently operating NADCAP work out of. So that obviously took a considerable amount of time. Really, it was opportunity in diversifying our markets. The military aerospace market had been growing for us, but was somewhat stagnant because we didn't have this accreditation in place. In our backyard is Raytheon, BAE, Lockheed. They all have a presence in New England. So there is legitimate opportunity here. And again, just really wanted to diversify our markets and what we're doing and what we're offering. You never know what market is going to be hitting. And, I didn't want to paint the company into a corner and be single sourced anywhere. So it really made a lot of sense. And I like the control. We have a better lab because of it. We're a better run company because of it. Our procedures are better because of it. It really forces you to implement control, and then the record of control as well. I mean, we are sitting on good data now, and when there occasionally is something that goes wrong, which is inevitable, we can then take a step back and look at what did we actually do, and have a good understanding of what potentially was the root cause.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, and when you have the NADCAP controls in, it's not just your NADCAP customers that are going to benefit. All of your customers are going to benefit.
Correct.
Because you put these in. They're going to be getting a higher, a higher resource from you all to do that. Which, like I said, benefits everybody, whether
Correct.
they're aerospace or anything else with that. Yeah. And that was shortly after that is when was the Hopwood Globe you all took over. I know that. I think that was the time you took their customers on. Correct? Is that about then?
Correct. So they were in a unique situation where they were in a facility that they were leasing, and the owner of the building wanted to convert it to condos or whatever. So they really didn't have a home anymore. They were sitting on some equipment that was dated. So if they were to move, it really wouldn't have made sense to move anything there. And, it's costly starting up a plating shop from zero. And that's essentially what they would have had to have done. So they decided to close operations. And that's when we stepped in and came up with an agreement and offered our services to their customers. And that was a nice transition. We ended up hiring a couple of employees from the company. But yeah, that was, for the most part, a seamless transition and a nice bump in revenue.
Right. Right. Exactly. One of the things I hear from a lot of owners of, how you're scaling up, right? You're taking on more employees, you're taking on more processes, customers, and things like that, and really, but you're still one person. Your management team is pretty much tight. How does one accomplish that? It seems that it would be a huge challenge to, what gets your attention? And like you said, you can't really be walking the floor all day anymore. Other things are going to dictate your time and necessity, right? How did you take those challenges on? I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah, it's a difficult decision because when you're a relatively small company like we were, the owner is typically involved with every aspect, whether it's production, quality, business decisions, and delegating to the right people become critical as you grow. So, early on, in about 2015, there was a printed circuit board shop that shut down in Londonderry, New Hampshire. And we were able to hire their EH&S person who had a strong quality background. And it really developed from there. Our company has always had really good IT cybersecurity support. I would argue that we probably have one of the best in the business working for us. And we've added additional quality help since then. That's really where the emphasis has been. People with strong quality management backgrounds with ISO and AS 9100, whether they have come from the aerospace industry or contract manufacturing. All these employees that have significant roles at our company did not come out of plating, but they came out of manufacturing and were able to apply their knowledge from elsewhere to our company. So,
yeah, it's got to be, like I said, yeah, it's kind of it brings on its own concerns and headaches sometimes, but like I said, obviously, ultimately, it's making you all stronger. And I know that, you all just are not limited to the Northeast. I know you've got customers everywhere, don't you, pretty much?
We do. So UPS is a huge part of our receiving at our company, and we're probably touching all 50 states at this point. So yes, we've through
is that the plan that you all had? I mean, did you have a business plan that said that we want to really branch out, or it just seems like it goes organically? That the more processes you take on and master, you're going to get people coming to you.
Sure. So I think that the AS 9100 gave us some good exposure. I think the NADCAP accreditations have given us some good exposure. We also have some customers with a national presence. And they have been influential as well. Like they are reaching out to their fabricators, telling them about us. We haven't done any major marketing campaigns nationally. Sure, we have our website. Sure, we're advertising on ThomasNet. But truthfully, I think it's the accreditations, our reputation, and some of our customers who do have that national presence who are pushing people in our direction.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say definitely getting that with that, and people will find you if you can. And like I said, you all the array of processes that you all offer is really unique. I mean, you don't see a lot of shops that can do electroplating or anodizing, and also adding wet and liquid powder coatings and those types of things. Which really, are you seeing that more where some of your customers really want to keep things sort of in house with you all instead of sending it to various other places to be done? Is that
sure? I think it makes it easier for them to cut a purchase order that could potentially hit chem film, masking, anodizing, painting, silk screening, part marking, versus multiple purchase orders. So yes, I do believe that that gives us an advantage over others. The other thing that's unique about our company is we both have manual operated hand lines as well as automated large hoist lines. So they complement each other very nice as well. They both have their purpose. Hoist lines are typically pounding high volume work, maybe a little more price competitive. Hand lines are doing lower volume work, often used for quick turn type jobs and whatnot. So there is a lot of capacity here, and the capacity doesn't look the same. So I think that also gives us an advantage.
Right. Yeah, I know one of the things that I know for just from looking at your site is you're very cognizant of the turnaround times, right? A lot of your customers want this yesterday, like you said,
Of
and
course.
how do you, first of all, how do you put practices in place that uh, helps do that, and then also get your team to understand this is of the utmost importance that we do this.
Yeah, of course. Well, I tell you, it really was based around the needs of the Rapid Group, which was located in Nashua, New Hampshire. They are now owned by Proto Labs. Um, but the Rapid Group, hence the name, basically was buying time. And we met with them multiple times and came up with some processes and procedures that we were able to implement to take jobs that would typically take days and turn them into hours. Some of the practices we have is customers sending us purchase orders before parts arrive so that we can do our contract review, develop any questions and get them answered before parts get here so that when the parts do show up, we are literally launching them to our lines. And then we have carved out capacity during our day shift and our night shift to accommodate these expedite orders. There's a real demand for it. Almost everybody now is asking for it. It's not uncommon whether a customer asks for it or not. We show them what their expedite options are on a quote, and it's kind of become the norm. And I tell you, I really have to take my hats off to the Rapid Group because they were the ones that really developed it and asked us to work with them and come up with systems that could support it. And in their heyday, we were probably doing 40, 50 different orders a day for them in less than 8 hours. And if you had asked me that 15 years ago, I would have said there is absolutely no chance of it happening. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I was going to say, and you kind of when you do it one time, then they kind of expect it every time with that. So that's kind of the high bar that you've set for yourself on those type of things to do that. But yeah, and it's funny is that like you said, getting your team. So how many do you have there at your facility there in New Hampshire? Then? How many people do you have?
We're over 100. We're probably flirting with about 120 in New Hampshire, and Roy is 60 to 70 in Hudson, Mass. We're approaching 200.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to
Yes.
say I'm trying to think of very many people that can match that as far as like you said, and you're not that far away from each other. But yeah, like I said, are there other? I should ask, are there other things you're thinking about coming into 2026? I know you're. It seems like you kind of got the things under control with Patriot and how you're going to go forward with that. Are there any other uh, things out there that you might want to add, or you're looking for, or is it?
Well, believe it or not, we're actually looking at another company to potentially acquire. This would be probably similar to some of the original ones we did where we would absorb them. We're also considering other processes to NADCAP accredit. And the big push early on in 26 is looking at Hudson Mass and Patriot Coating and what they're doing and how we can improve their systems down there. So, we're looking forward, but there's a big agenda on our hands right now this first quarter of the year and getting the two companies working seamlessly together.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say that's kind of the big key with that, and a lot of it, I think, what you're talking about is really open communication with the employees, letting them know what's happening and really what's expected. And it sounds like you've got a team that really understands what the mission is and who you're working for with these customers and how they want to be, how they want their parts finished and how soon they want them. You get buy-in from everybody. It seems that would be the big key, is get everybody to
Yeah,
understand that.
we're trying to be transparent with our employees, with Roy's employees, with our customers, with Roy's customers, um, and telling them that we're keeping open lines of communication. Do not hesitate to contact us if something just doesn't feel right. I don't want to miss something. Not knowing is the biggest problem, right?
Right, right. Yeah, that would, yeah, that definitely causes more problems than
Correct.
not with things with that. But like I said, you as an owner, I mean, it's sort of I'm not sure if you're how much that's taxing you. Exponentially, you've gone up 60% in your span of control here with 60 more employees and things. But it sounds like you've got the team down there that really, which is a unique feature. I think a lot of shops don't have. I think sometimes owners get into it where they feel like they've got to be everywhere.
Sure.
But if you get the right people to run the
Yeah.
operation for you, it makes it a lot easier. Which sounds like something you've really focused on, make sure you have the right people there, so you can.
Correct.
You don't need to be there at all times with that.
I don't. And there definitely is a short-term spike in hours and responsibility, but that will be dispersed relatively quickly. It's more of an interest at this point. I really want to understand what's going on down there. And yes, we will be quick to hire, quick to move people's responsibilities if needed. Um, Today, I don't see it, but when Roy officially walks out the door, it may be a different situation, and we may have to disperse his responsibilities onto new labor.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, was all this in a plan that you'd written down, or is this sort of just keeping your eyes open and your senses to you? Was it something? Because I know I've been talking to a lot of shops recently who've been working on writing down things of what they're going to do over the next 5 to 10 years. Was this something that was ever really in a plan for you, or just? I know this opportunity with Patriot wasn't on your radar initially, right? So.
Correct, but we are looking. We're always looking for acquisitions. I believe there's a consolidation going on in the industry, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Um, so I'm not opposed to it. We're, like I said, looking at other companies as well. Um, is it in the 5-year plan? Maybe not at the scale of Patriot Coating. That is a significant size shop with a lot of capacity. I would argue that this was a little bit of a unique opportunity, but we were positioned well to do it. I think Roy felt very comfortable with us as well. The fact that we had done it before, I think, comforted him a little bit. So yes, there definitely is a 5-year plan in place. We're going to be adding some additional square footage in Hudson, New Hampshire. We're going to be expanding some of our processes. We're going to be automating a little bit more. So yeah, there's quite a few irons in the fire.